guys?
Howdy, brothers.
Welcome back to another very special, exciting episode, Season 8 opener extravaganza.
Oh my God.
Whiskey and Water podcast.
I'm your co-host, Jess.
And I am your co-host, Liv.
And we are once again back at it. Another season. You guys can't get rid of us.
Here we are. Wow.
Wow.
Nugget's excited. He just did a little excited shake. We have a great episode for you. Well, welcome back. I hope you didn't miss us too much on our off week. Hopefully you got caught up on all of our other 84 episodes.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's actually fucking crazy.
We've come a long way, brother.
We really have.
We really have. Before we get into it, we would like to thank our show sponsor, Celsius. Y'all already know I'm really repping very hard today.
I mean, when are we not?
I was just in the mood for like a cute little cropped sweater situation, and what better than our show sponsor?
Today I'm drinking strawberry guava.
Today I'm drinking raspberry acai green tea non-carbonated.
So we got one carbonated, one non-carbonated. You guys know the deal. Healthy energy accelerates metabolism and burns body fat.
And there is no high fructose corn syrup, no aspartame, no preservatives, no artificial colors or flavors. The link is in our description. If you've been here a while, you already know the deal. We don't have to tell you.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, guys, we have an amazing episode today. We have on our friend Olivia Ormos. It is a little confusing with the two Olivias, but we prevail. And we have known Olivia just through the Miami scene for years now. And this is such a fun episode because we are just like storytelling the entire time. And
it's great.
She's incredible. She owns multiple businesses. She's the co-founder of Model Volleyball, as well as the founder of OO & Co., her media company. And she's just a true gem.
Yeah, they're a full service agency. They do social media, events. We talk a lot about how she was mostly in events. And then once COVID hit, she totally had to pivot, which is awesome. I love talking about pivoting whenever we can. But it's such a good episode. And it feels like a full circle moment. I love when we can have on our friends who are in the business. I mean, talk about female entrepreneurship and women in business. I mean, Olivia embodies everything about that.
Agreed.
And she's been in the game for a minute. So it was such an honor and a privilege to have her on Olivia Squared, and it's a really good conversation. I really like that we got into talking about events because that's a huge business that we really haven't covered before, and we talk a lot about hiring and her process with that.
Yeah.
So it's just a really great
value-packed episode.
Yeah, great season 8 kicker, guys.
All right, brother, give me a catch up before we get into it.
Catch up. Well, I'm really excited about season 8. I'm really excited about our Patreon.
Yes, very exciting. The Patreon has launched today. If you're listening to this on Monday, the day that this was released.
Guys, what is it? A subscription, I guess, right? That's what you do for Patreon. Like, you don't like follow us, you subscribe. That's how it works. Anyways, go subscribe to our Patreon. We have so much bonus footage and content that we've been working on for you guys. And I'm just excited to have another place to create valuable content like that isn't maybe so on gear for necessarily entrepreneurship, but we just feel like we're not as boxed in, and all of these ideas that we've had before for the show, but we're like, it's not really on brand. Now we have a place to put that, and that's so exciting.
Yeah, something really exciting that we're working on for the Patreon is an influencer series. I know how much you guys loved our influencer episode. So we will be deep diving into this with our favorite influencers and just really talking about like scaling, growth, content, connecting with your audience, getting on stories, showing up with confidence. And we're going to have all of our very good friends who are full-time, successful, amazing influencers. So like that's going to be a huge pillar of the Patreon, as well as some other stuff. So, like we're going to do like fun catch-ups, like we don't really catch up as much on our like deep and dirty personal lives here
like
anymore.
We used to.
But we do miss that. So we're going to be leaving that there. We're going to add, some behind the scenes of our mood stuff, of whiskey and water. Really just giving you more insight to our lives and what our businesses look like.
Yeah, that and just fun stuff. Like fun stuff that used to be maybe more on brand when we were more personal development or comedy. We definitely want to like talk a little bit more about pop culture. We're thinking about having like a viral moment segment. We the list goes on. We have so many ideas. We want to do catch-ups. We want to just get really involved with our community. You guys, like I feel like it's a great way to connect with you guys even more because it's kind of like a dashboard setup, and it's going to be more of a inner, excuse the Miami ambulance. It's going to be more of like an inner circle type of community. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. So make sure you guys go subscribe to that. We are going to be doing some fun giveaways for our Patreon subscribers as well. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I'm going to do live streams. Like so many, the possibilities are endless.
And if you guys have any ideas of things that you would like to see, any recommendations, things that you want us to do, let us know.
We are so open to literally everything. And I just had a great idea. Maybe we can finally do our book club.
Yes. You're so right.
Guys, I'm excited.
Writing that down.
Yeah, because like I'm telling you, we have so many ideas, but if it doesn't necessarily fit into the brand of female entrepreneurship and business, or if we will have a really cool guest who's interested in being on the show, but they're not really entrepreneurs, but they're still super cool or have a great story. Now we have a place to
put them.
Yeah.
So I think that about wraps it up.
So go check it out. We will include the link in our description. We'll be posting it all over our social media. And like Jess said, we're doing some fun giveaways for it. So definitely stay tuned for that.
All right, brothers, before we get into the episode, we are going to thank some of our show sponsors, and we'll see you on the other side.
Bye.
All right, guys, we have told you about Nutrition Realm, we have told you about Fitness Realm, and we have told you about Women's Realm. So naturally, we had to do it to you, and we're going to be talking to you about Pet Realm.
Because we love our pets, naturally. As pet lovers, we know how difficult it can be to sit through all the information available about pet wellness, training, and products. Pet Realm's mission is to help you give your pets the absolute best by providing you with clear, factual information about all things pets.
From CBD to the best toys and tips and tricks, Pet Realm will provide you with a one-stop shop to keep you and your pets healthy and happy. Check out petrealm.co and follow them at GoPetRealm on Instagram.
Yes, and we will have the link in our description for you as well.
All right, go check it out, guys. All right, guys, we are here with Olivia Ormos. I know this might get a little confusing because we've got Liv and Liv here, but we are so excited to have you on today. And tell us about how you're feeling. Tell us about how you're doing.
Well, first of all, I'm excited to be here with the two of you guys. I'm such fans of how you guys really just started the most amazing conversations and, powerful types of people that you've chosen to bring on. So I'm flattered that you've asked me and that we're here to chat through all the fun stuff today.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a full circle moment. We've known Olivia for years now. And even when we started the podcast, you were such a supporter of us, just showing us so much love and offering your guidance and your help to us. And it was just great. And I can't believe we're here. Season 8, baby. Let's fucking go.
Season 8 opener.
Yeah.
Kicking it off strong.
I think it's awesome because, you guys come from this like influencer, model, entrepreneur type of backgrounds, and maybe somebody wouldn't expect you guys to be so good at this, and you are. You're so good at this, and I'm in full support. I'm excited to have an amazing conversation and hopefully bring even more value than what you guys already bring to the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm sure of it. I have full confidence. Before we get into it, let's just give our audience a little recap of who you are and what you do for those who don't already know you.
Okay, so I'm Olivia. I am pretty much born and raised here in Miami. I grew up here. I went to the University of Florida in Gainesville. So anybody listening, go Gators. Big Gator fan over here.
My sister just committed to that.
And really?
Yeah.
You made a good choice. I mean, I got in on like the cusp of like it getting really hard. Like if I applied today, I definitely would not have gotten in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I got rejected. Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving
Yeah,
on.
I was that person that had like really good extracurriculars, great GPA, like great essays, but like the worst SATs actually possible.
Yeah.
So,
I never took the SAT, so we're
okay.
thriving.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I took the ACT once.
yeah, go Gators, made it in when I could. And then, I was always that type of student, I would say, that was looking to work on every single winter break, every single spring break. I loved working. Thankfully, I found my passion early and was able to kind of dedicate time. So by the time I graduated from the University of Florida, I knew I wanted to get right to work. I can tell you more about those fun experiences, but basically what led me to where I am now is I own a full service marketing, branding, graphic design, influencer relations, events types of agency. It's called OO & Co. and we're based in Midtown. And then aside from OO & Co., my other business is called Model Volleyball. And that was established with my partners, Michael, Marco, and Skylar in 2010. And we are excited to bring that back for our 12th year in 2022.
Legendary.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know,
I mean, if you're in Miami, you know what model volleyball is.
I mean, it's
iconic. You don't have to explain it.
It's a Miami staple.
It truly is.
And that, I mean, years, once upon a time, years and years ago.
Yeah, let's just rewind it back for a second.
We're setting the scene. Olivia and I at Model Volleyball with our team, Runways, which was our agency at the time. Our team won, not because of us at all.
Well,
we were the cheerleaders.
We were good cheerleaders.
We were incredible cheerleaders.
We were solid cheerleaders.
And our team won Model Volleyball, and we all went, including Olivia, out to Haiti on a mission trip for of the most amazing trips of our life.
Truly. And even fast forward before that, which you may have forgotten, but even before we were on a team for Model Volleyball, like the years prior, we were like, how do we get to Model Volleyball?
Oh, yeah.
We're
100%.
We're like, how do we get in? I think we went just not on a team, but just as a, what do they call it? A spectator.
Yeah.
And, kind of like went around.
We were like, are we even allowed to be here?
Yeah, literally. That was the year that Gigi was there, actually.
Gigi Hadid. Yes. Yeah, we actually got a picture with her.
We did get a pic.
That's insane.
That's lit.
Wow,
anyway,
I forgot about
so
that.
we were there, and then we were like, we got to get on a team next year. And then the next year, I think we got on
Manifestation.
a team, and we did it. But that just, it goes to show, like, really how big of an event that is and how much of an impact it's made on Miami and just, whoever somebody is there. And I'm so happy and so excited that you guys have the dates for the next one planned. And,
we do.
We'll be out there.
Well, you already know we'll be there. VIP, baby. We'll be popping bottles.
So, tell us a little bit more about Model Volleyball and, like, the conception of that. Obviously, you have an incredible team of Miami legends behind you as well. But I'm kind of curious, like, how that came to be. Who was like, yeah, you know what? Models, volleyball. Let's mash it together. Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played volleyball. So I played in high school, and I played, like, not at UF, but I continued to play while I was in college.
Yeah.
I wasn't tall enough to, like.
She's like, I was not a student athlete.
I was not a student athlete, but I loved the game. I still do. I still play for fun and for cardio. But it was 2010, and Michael Malone was a new friend of mine, and we had been introduced, and we started doing some random projects together, like Super Bowl and Pro Bowl and random things. And he's like, there used to be this event called Volleypalooza, which was when I was in high school, I would go to Volleypalooza.
Fun.
And Ocean Drive created the original concept, Ocean Drive magazine. And it was a different era, right? There was, like, no social media. There was a million more modeling agencies. It was like the hot chick rollerblade era of Miami Beach, if you can kind of picture that postcard here. So, Michael suggested we try to revive the event because it hadn't happened in a few years because Ocean Drive magazine sold. And when they sold, they decided not to continue producing Volleypalooza. So we went to Ocean Drive and we were like, hey, let's bring this back. What do we got to do? And they just weren't in a place to really support the event and produce it like they used to. So they offered us to buy the name, and we were like, no, we'll come up with our own name. And it was Model Beach Volleyball Tournament originally, like 4 words, MBVT. And that's kind of how we started it. And the first event was at Nikki Beach, in the back of Nikki Beach. And it was just a couple agencies, a little tiny riser, a couple sponsors. I mean, every year it comes up on my time hop, and I'm like, look at my little baby. I can send you guys a picture to put up here. But it was such a cool moment because I remember so vividly then that it would be what it is now. Like, we knew the potential. It was so awesome. We, we did things slowly but surely. We grew gradually over the years from, like, level of sponsorship and, level of celebrity that showed up, the footprint itself. And, we outgrew Nikki Beach the first year. And then the next year we went to 8th and Ocean, where the volleyball, traditionally courts are now. And we were there for many years, and then we outgrew that area and moved to the other side of the beach. So now we're on the ocean side for the past 3 or 4 years now, where we have as much space to grow as possible. That's the cool thing about doing, events on a beach like Miami Beach is it's just, I'm paying for square footage.
Oh yeah.
I'm not like in an arena where I'm, fixated. It's like, I start with sand.
Totally.
That's it. Yeah. And I got to build from sand up, So we've been super fortunate to have the city's support. So the city of Miami Beach is an official sponsor of the event. They have a tremendous grants program that not a lot of people know about, where if you qualify for, what they share, which is like hotel room nights, media impressions, or TV viewership, if you meet that criteria, you're eligible for money.
Oh, wow. Pro tip.
Interesting.
Pro tip. So, the city of Miami Beach is a huge advocate. That money, comes from like tourism and the hotel room tax.
Nice.
So the hotels benefit when there's a big event coming into town. So if you're booking hotel rooms, they're rewarding you. So it's a reimbursement grant. So you say, hey, I'm going to use $10,000 on production, $10,000 on PR, $10,000 on marketing, so-and-so. And then you just show them afterwards that you actually spent the money on those things and you get awarded a grant.
Wow, that's so smart. I mean, like an event of this scale is something that I cannot even conceptualize, honestly. So it's so crazy that you're like out here producing this. I mean, Travis Scott performed like the last time. Like, it's huge, and I only
story. I can tell you how that happened. That wasn't.
Oh, yes. Okay, let's get into the story about Travis Scott because I think that was the year that we won, right? Or was it the year after?
I think it might have been the year after. But all I remember is us on stage, shaking our asses,
twerking. I'm pretty sure there was a twerk off.
For like Snapchat people on stage. It was
all
crazy.
part of it.
It was a good time. Okay, so yeah, let us in on the story.
Yeah, no, it was I tried to get Travis. He, we have mutual friends and I knew his management and he was already in Miami. He was performing at like Story or something the next day.
Nice.
And our title partner that year was Hawkers, which was like a multi-year sponsor of ours, and they're from Spain, and they were like so excited about the potential of a performance. And the biggest thing I'll tell you about Model Volleyball that we've never been a sucker to is a lot of people produce events and they feel like they have to get talent. So we never wanted somebody to say, who's performing, should we go?
Yeah, wow, that's so true.
Yeah.
Well, we never wanted to box Model Volleyball into like having to have a performer. If it happens, and it was a surprise, dope.
Great, right.
Because the celebrity for us was the event itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like Model Volleyball, there's nothing else like it. You can go see a performance any night of the week in Miami at any club, any show. So we were like, we just wanted it to be more of like a divine moment when it happened, not if somebody should determine their attendance based on who is performing.
Yeah, like the cherry on top. And that is so smart because it's true. It's true. It would almost take away from the main event, which is a bunch of gorgeous models playing volleyball. Like the top models in Miami. Like what more can you ask for? And that's so smart that you approached it that way because it really would be doing a disservice to the actual brand itself. It's like it's not about the performer. It's not a concert. It's an event. So that's
we're really fortunate that we kept that mindset and never really caved and tried to work with the celebrities we've had that did perform. I mean, I remember Jamie Foxx showed up like one of our first years in like 2013, I want to say. And he showed up with DJ Irie, who was a part of the event with his foundation that year. And I was like, oh my God. I'm not, Jamie Foxx is here. Like, what am I going to do? So I went up to him. I was like, hey, Jamie, like, let me know what you need, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you got a mic?
No.
And I was like, I got two. Gave him the mic, and I literally could not get the mic back from him. This guy has, he's like the triple threat, Jamie Foxx. He's like, the comedian, the actor, the singer. This guy is
he's incredible.
Ultimate entertainer. And he got up there, and it was the first time we had a performer. So it was like explosive where I was just kind of standing in the corner watching going like, holy shit, Jamie Foxx is on stage and I didn't have to pay him. Like,
that's crazy.
This is insane. Like people want to be here, which was super cool. And I remember I have it on video, gave me like a shout out on the stage, like shout out to Olivia. And I was like, what? I felt like I was in like a mirage,
I have goosebumps for you right now.
Yeah. It was super cool. And then he came back the next year. Wow. And did it all over again.
And that must be so validating for you that it's just a cool event. Like I'm thinking if I were a celebrity, I'd be like, for sure, let's ride.
I mean, celebrities are performers. So I mean, if someone's just showing up at the end of the day and there's someone like Jamie Foxx where he's just, like you said, a triple threat. He's like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, there's a stage and a mic and I'm an entertainer. Like, why would you not?
So that was kind of the start of like talent happening. And then from there, with Travis, being already in Miami. I was going back and forth with his management, and we just couldn't get to a number because we didn't have any money to like spend like just randomly on performances. Like we're not charging admission, and there's no way for me to make back the money that I would be spending. Like it's an impromptu thing. Like you want to come through, whatever. So I think it's like a wrap. He's not coming. No problem. And that was Saturday morning. The conversation happened. Saturday afternoon, because Model Volleyball is 2 days. So Saturday afternoon, his manager calls and says, "Okay, we can do it for $15,000 and cash."
In cash?
What do we look like?
What does he need that for?
Well, you don't have to, claim it.
I see.
So,
what? Who just like? Okay, let me just pull that out of my ass. 1 second.
So I went up to my title sponsor and I was like, "I can get Travis Scott here tomorrow. Do you have 15,000?" Yeah. And he said, "Yeah, I'll bring it for you in the morning. Confirm it." I was like, okay. Called back next day. This was the year we had a March date. We usually are in February, but that year we had a March date, and it was spring break. Like spring break, Miami Beach, like
rowdiness.
So
I remember this vividly.
And like the city doesn't really want mass hysteria. Like that's why they pick Model Volleyball, because it's controlled. The police are there. Everything's like, good to go. So Travis pulls up in the back on, with his beautiful, exotic car, gets out. He's like in the best mood. We clear the stage. I didn't know we had to do that. We had to clear the stage. Meanwhile, that morning I got the money, and I kept the money the entire day in my book bag. And
You're lying.
I swear, I was so nervous to put it down.
She kept that motherfucking thing on her.
I kept 15 G's in my book bag the entire day.
She's walking around with cash. She's just like,
yeah, and only one person knew and just kept looking at me like, "You sure you don't want me to hold that? You sure you don't want me to hold that?" I'm like, "No, don't draw attention to me."
Right. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So scary.
So I kept 15 G's in my bag until he got there. So,
gave it to his manager.
Yeah, so we hadn't announced it. Like it was a complete surprise. I didn't want mass hysteria coming from the beaches, ruining my relationship with the city. So Travis got up there. He absolutely killed it. It was unbelievable. And then when he came off the stage, he gave me a huge hug, and he was like, "I've never performed on a beach."
Oh,
that was my
how
first
cool.
time ever performing on a beach. Yeah. Super grateful, super nice, handed him the money, and that was it.
Done deal. I feel like that's a movie scene. Like Olivia's just walking the beach with 15 G's in her backpack.
For Travis Scott.
Gets a hug from Travis Scott.
It's not didn't weigh that much as you think. I had other stuff in there too.
That's amazing. And honestly, I feel like that's just something that's serendipity. Like you're doing the right things, you're making the right moves, you're making the right calls for your brand, and then things kind of just work out for the best in that way,
Yeah, it's an exciting event. We try to think about everybody involved when we're making decisions. Bang Energy was our title sponsor February 2020 for our 11 years. So we were fortunate enough to get a pre-COVID Model Volleyball in.
Nice. Wow, and like so close to COVID too. Like
and it was
really
the
lucky.
First time it rained in 10 years.
Oh wow. That's another lucky thing too. And that's the hard thing about planning events is I feel like a lot of things are out of your control, especially in Miami, especially when it comes to weather.
And when you're doing it outdoors.
And when you're doing it outdoors. Do you have like I have to imagine you have some sort of backup plan or B and C plan. Nope, you just fuck it. Full send.
There is no backup plan when it rains with that big of a site. There's just it is, you just gotta wait it out and hope it.
And these are also people that are from Miami. They understand Miami. Like it's more than likely going to blow over in 15 minutes, Yeah,
so it did not.
Okay, yeah.
We lost like a full first day. Our first day was like, it probably started raining around 1, and like, it was a disaster. Like, it was me like sitting at home with wine, like,
no.
Like, I can't believe this is happening. And then day 2 was phenomenal. Day 2 was absolutely beautiful. But when you talk about like sponsorship, which is a big, pillar of what this event is made of,
right?
Since we love having the event be free, it's, we don't want to charge admission. We like the fact that you can just walk freely around. You don't need tickets. It brings a lot more value to our sponsors if the event is free, because then we don't know who's willing to pay $5, $10, $20 to come watch Model Volleyball, and the city loves that it's free. So it's always been free. So, when it comes to sponsorship, we've always tried to go above and beyond for sponsors so that, they come back and we can continue to have an event. And, Bang Energy was a tremendous partner of ours. They absolutely loved the event, and they'd sponsored other people's events in the past. And they said that this was the first event as a title sponsor that they had felt like when you stepped onto that stand and you looked at our site, you had to ask yourself, did Bang put this on? Or is this somebody else? Is this Model Volleyball?
And that's what you want.
And that's exactly what you want. You want to position that event where if someone's paying to be your title sponsor, your name of the event, you better make sure that it looks like that brand put that event on.
Mm-hmm. Super cool. Okay, so for those in our audience who don't really know the difference, can you just briefly explain what the difference between a title sponsor versus, I'm sure there's different tiers of sponsors.
Yeah. So in the case that I'm describing, the name of the event is Bang Model Volleyball.
Okay. Interesting.
So whether it's on a microphone and the MC is like, he's never going to say, you're at Model Volleyball. No,
sponsored
you're at
by Bang.
Volleyball.
Right.
You're at Bang Model Volleyball. And that's like our top tier, positioning of a sponsorship is somebody, whether it's the uniforms, it's the nets, it's the balls, it's, everything you can think of. You don't see Model Volleyball alone anywhere. You're paying for every caption, even on an Instagram post when we talk about the event, like day 2 of Bang Model Volleyball, like everything. So that's a difference. Whereas we also have other like lower tier sponsors where, it's a lot less expensive, but you still have really fun things to participate in and get your own area and signage and so on and so forth. But what I was gonna say about sponsorship with Bang is they now use Model Volleyball as a case study. So anybody who chooses to come to them and say, hey, I really want you to sponsor my football game or my gaming event or my podcast, they send Model Volleyball.
They're like, this is the
bar.
The bar is set.
If you can't do what Model Volleyball did, we're not interested.
Wow. That's awesome. And like, what a privilege and just a testament to the work you guys put in to really be a good business and be a good brand that can deliver for your sponsors.
Yeah. So that was an exciting moment for us to hear from a brand that they really felt like we did exactly what they, paid.
Yeah.
And hope to receive. So
what more can you ask for?
Yeah. So I think a pro tip, if somebody's listening that's in events and wants to work with brands and wants to work with sponsorship is don't only look at the mindset of how you're going to produce a great experience for you as the event producer. Like, how is this going to make me look? Like, you really have to put yourself into the mindset of the sponsor. And if you were cutting that check, what would you be happy with at the end? What's a W? Say, wow, this was a win sponsorship. Sign me up again. And I think a lot of people like just start to worry about so many of the little things. Like, is my court going to look okay? Is my banner going to look okay? But at the end of the day, what's most important is taking care of your sponsors.
Yeah, because it's almost like investors in a company. It's like you want the stockholders to be happy. I mean, that is the end goal.
Exactly right.
And I'm curious, when you're pitching to these brands, how does that process go? Because you're saying that you're not charging. So is it like, are they selling products at a booth? Like, what are they actually gaining? Is it mainly brand awareness? Because we're super into that as well, and I think that brand awareness is huge. But I'm curious about the ROI there.
Sure. So we charge a sponsorship fee to every sponsor. That's the one thing that, thankfully, from the jump, another pro tip from me would be know your value, and it's okay to say no, right? Like, people would come to us every year and be like, well, I can't pay, the sponsorship fee, but I'll give you 10 cases. And I'm like, no, because if I do that, then the other guy that gave me, $10,000 for the same exact thing is going to be like, well, I know that everybody knows each other. So I always wanted our reputation to be pay to play. You got to be ready to pay to play to be a part of Model Volleyball. Because I also knew that there was no one else doing exactly what we were doing. So I wasn't just another sporting event. I was a really niche event opportunity. So we were okay with saying no a lot. So to answer your question, Jess, is we tried to find as much value in our packages as possible, even to the point where we went and got media partnerships in barter and trade with people like iHeartRadio, Snapchat, Shape Magazine, Men's Fitness, all these people over the years, where they gave us, let's say, a free ad in the magazine in exchange for, a tent on site or X amount of radio spots for X, Y, and Z. So that helped me add things into my packages that were added value, like to the spend. Oh, you're also going to get your logo in our ad in Shape Magazine. You're going to get mentioned on air this many times. So I was able to broker like strategic media partnerships over the years with some really amazing partners. But primarily, like, our packages are very straightforward and turnkey, so that people that are not in Miami are not like, oh, there's just no way I can do this. I don't live there. I can't put it together. Like, we supply the tents, we supply the banners, we print
Right.
everything, we assemble everything. You show up with your product, and we are not advocates of selling on site. If the brand wants to, we do, but everyone else is giving away, you know, everything.
Right.
So typically we tell our sponsors to bring about 10,000 units of whatever they're going to bring, and no one has anything left over.
Yeah, that's such a cool thing, because then it's like you really can just get people walking the streets of Miami coming into Model Volleyball, and they're leaving with a goodie bag, and they're like, this is fucking dope, and I'll be here next year. Like, I mean, I feel like a lot of times people are scared to just give things away for free, but really I think it's a better investment in some cases.
Yeah, and if you're giving away something really special, you can, position it as like a data entry for yourself. Like, hey, when you give us your name, your email, your phone number, you're going to get a free pair of glasses, right?
Yes.
So like, so they can access that type of data, especially if they're sponsoring it, because they know this is the audience, that's their target demographic as well.
Mhm.
So
Very
that's
true.
that's been awesome. And then, there's a fine line, because we're dealing with models, as you guys know very well, and people like to take advantage, and there's a lot of usage. So all of our contracts are, from a social media, have fun, take pictures. If a model comes to your booth, feel free to, ask permission. But like, if that picture ends up on a billboard, I'm coming for you.
Yeah,
For sure.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And we've had sponsors attempt to do, shady stuff in the past. So, we're also very protective of our models that are participating, and want them to feel like, you're having a great time, you're not getting taken advantage of, and, you're doing something great for charity as well that's involved. So
Right.
we wear a lot of hats when we're designing the experience.
So cool. And I love that you mentioned the model protection, because that's something I didn't even really think of, but it is true. I mean, there's so many cameras, there's so many videos, and, of course they're going to be like, can I snap a photo of you with that product? And if I saw it on a billboard, I'd be like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
I would lose my
luckily most of the models, like, they know when they show up there, what they're showing up
Of
for,
course.
right? So like, there is a level of like, okay, understanding that, that's happening. And then, we added over the years the ability to put your Instagram with an airbrush, your Instagram name somewhere on your body.
On your back.
Oh,
So that
yeah.
somebody actually can find, a way to give you your pictures,
Yeah.
if it's not one of our photographers. So yeah.
Super cool. I love that. And it's also like, it's a great way for the Miami community to really get together. I mean, I know the years when we've gone in the past, like, we run into so many people we know and friends.
It's a networking event.
It truly is. Like, even if it's like, people want to go for fun, but people also want to go to network. I mean, we met that awesome photographer there, remember? I think his name is
Bad boy.
Yeah.
Matt Abad.
Oh, bad boy.
Yeah. And we ended up doing a photo shoot with him that was just like absolutely insane.
Yeah, he's good. He's really
He's
good.
insane.
Yeah. So even like we met him randomly, like, backstage.
We were on stage shaking our asses.
Okay.
I have friends that have met their husbands, boyfriends. People get together at Model Volleyball.
And that's the beautiful thing about events. And I kind of want to get into that with you, especially with COVID in the last year. I know you've made a lot of adjustments to your brand and your company, but I'm so excited that, we can start getting back to events, because I'll tell you what, I will never take that for granted ever again. Like, I am so much more appreciative now when I am at events, or when I'm in, a live music venue, or just anything like that. And I think everyone is, it's like, no, I don't think anyone who experienced the pandemic will ever take events or being around other people for granted again. But I am curious to know what this past year has looked like for you and your brand, considering that it was mostly event focused.
Yeah. So I would say about 4 years ago, I added digital marketing, social media to the repertoire of services that the agency provides. Historically, my bread and butter was events, my own concepts, but also brands coming to me and having, us be the lead producers on, everything from concept to, execution and, wrangling and talent and you name it. And I always loved events, but I saw where the future of this industry was going and felt like it was really important that I no longer sat in a meeting where somebody said, do you do social media? And I said, no.
Right.
I couldn't hear it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, from there, the last 4 years, we've really built an amazing, list of clients, some that have been with us since then still, where we do everything, across the board when it comes to social. So thankfully, I wasn't only still an events agency or influencer, style of influencer programs. And I was able to really pivot. And I wasn't one of those people that said, oh, this is going to be like a 1 month thing. And like, let's wait it out. And, no, it was an immediate, like, excuse my language. Can I curse?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck events. Like, I'm never going to see an event. I don't even know till when. And I just redirected our entire focus to business development digitally, everything. We were doing events, but we were doing live streams for clients. We were doing, huge influencer campaigns. We went strictly online, digital, everything. Even Model Volleyball was a hard pause. We knew that asking people for money was the complete wrong etiquette at a time like this to sponsor. We knew we couldn't bring groups of people together and do a ticketed event. So, Model Volleyball, thankfully we got one in February, and that was our idea of like a really fortunate situation. But all the other events we had planned were obviously canceled, and my team and I strictly focused on how are we going to become a badass social media agency until we can say we do events again. And that's really what we did.
I mean, you have to, right? At that point, it's survival. And in your case, it's great that you kind of got a head start already. Like, you weren't just starting right then and there and like have to figure it all out now. Sure. But I mean, there's so many changes that have occurred over the past year. And I think one of the biggest things in entrepreneurship is constantly being able to adapt and pivot. And this past year has proved that even further. But I think it's just so crazy that you completely took like the bread and butter of your business and just flipped it over and said, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, let's just balls to the wall, go ahead, one foot in front of the other. And like, was that challenging for you to navigate, or did you guys feel like you kind of already had a good grip on the space?
I think it was disappointing.
Yeah, of course.
At the very beginning, where I was going through the emotions of like, damn, I wasn't worried about myself or events. I was really worried about my staff, because, I feel obviously I'm responsible for their livelihood.
Yeah.
And that's something you take on when you build a team. So I was like, is social media going to be enough? Right. Will it carry the weight financially for the business the same way, the event income would, and did, thankfully. So, I think it is challenging. I think it's challenging for a lot of people to like sink in and say, wow, what I love to do and what I have done so well, I can't do anymore. Now I got to find something else I'm good at. And that's like a tough like pill to swallow. But I think in the end, it made all of us a lot stronger, a lot more creative, and a lot more passionate probably to do like outside of our comfort zone, the type of things that, we should be doing.
And I'm sure looking back, it's kind of like one of everything happens for a reason kind of thing, because now you've added that to your repertoire of services, and I'm sure can expand and scale at an even faster rate, given that now that you're breaking back into the events and adding that, and now it's just like a one-stop shop of services.
Yeah, we feel really great about events right now. We have a big event for Swim Week in July where we're producing, a full-blown runway show for a brand.
Exciting.
Yeah, so it feels like we're back. We're there. We're okay. Which I'm super grateful for.
Survived.
Yeah. Well, and even and thrived, and grew under the pressure. I mean, there's a very cheesy quote, I'm sure, somewhere about how pressure creates diamonds, but it's true in that scenario. It's like you guys had to figure it out. But you mentioned something about the responsibility of a team, and that kind of like struck me, because it's not really something I thought about, and us being a small business and a small brand, starting that process of growing our very small team of hourly employees. I kind of want to ask you, a little bit about that and kind of get your insight of what that must be like. I don't know. I never really thought about that kind of pressure that must have a little bit. You know, it's like cool to be like, oh, I have a team and I have employees on salary, but you never think about that's a lot of responsibility.
You support this person's entire livelihood.
Like that's, you know, that's a lot, and not everyone I think can handle that.
You know, entrepreneurship is like a tricky thing, you know, and I always say, go for it. I'm the biggest advocate of anybody I meet that says, you know, I'm thinking about starting my own business. What do you think? I'm like, what do you have to lose?
Right.
You know, thankfully, you know, my mom always said to me, like, you're young, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have children, you know, just go for it. Like, go figure it out. And I think that I was meant to really be like a business owner. And I can kind of date back and give you guys my journey, what led to this. But I think to answer your question about responsibility, there was not another option other than success for me. Like, I would not pay myself before not paying, you know, the team members. And it's happened before where, you know, you have great months and you have not so great months. And you may have, as the business owner, sacrifice to keep your team in play. And I firmly believe if you have a strong team, there's just no way you're not gonna kick ass. There's just no way. And finding a great team is challenging to do. So yeah, I think you always got to go for it. Don't always worry. I mean, yes, money is extremely important, but don't over exert yourself. Like if you say, you know, I want to hire an assistant, look at what it's going to cost you 6 months, a year for that assistant. And until you have enough money, 6 months to a year, like saved up for that assistant, don't hire that assistant yet. You're working till 3 a.m. It doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
So if you have the money saved up, you know, it's there, you know, you're guaranteeing that person a job for 6 to 12 months, whatever you were able to save. So you're not putting yourself already in an overextension, you know, of a position where you could be honest with the employee and be like, okay, let's try this out for 6 months.
Right.
Let's make sure. I actually do 30 days now just to make sure that a lot of people say they can do things that they can't do. So,
yeah, of course. Myself included.
So yeah, I would just, I'm conservative, don't get me wrong, but I'm also aggressive. So, you know, if one of my team members comes to me and they're just like, look, like we're overwhelmed, we can't do it, we're hiring somebody, you know, even if it's just part-time, freelance, full-time, you name it, like listening to your team on like how that works. If you can financially stretch it, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about like you're conservative, but you're aggressive.
Yeah.
Because she's conservative and I'm aggressive, and it's like the perfect little pairing. But I actually wanted to talk. You mentioned like, you know, having a kick-ass team and how important that is. And, you know, as we expand, we're kind of trying to navigate the space of like how to find these like gems. And so do you have any tips on like hiring or like the vetting process, or like, you know, I see you smiling. So let's spill the tea, sis.
Hiring and firing.
I do have a vetting process. It took me a while to get here to get the formula right. So we put up an ad on LinkedIn and we say we're hiring a social media manager. And, you know, we get 100 applications. Nobody reads the freaking job description.
Bro, they have the qualifications. They're one of them's like not available in Miami. I'm like, I'm going to travel to where you are and beat your ass for wasting my time.
It's worst. It's the worst. So what I would end up doing is wasting my time setting up interviews. And then even sometimes hiring the people to only realize that they don't even know how to, you know, work Canva. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is like, you know, drag and drop, you know? So what we do now is, and we make it very transparent on the JD, the job description online, that they will expect before being hired to be tasked with both a questionnaire and homework assignment. And it's nothing crazy. If you're good at this and you're meant to be in that role, this should take you 2 hours max, right? Where we say the questionnaire is like more of like a 1 through 5 type of survey. Like, are you familiar on how to make Instagram stories? You know, do you feel comfortable using Canva? 1 through 5, you know, we can rate their levels of, on the questionnaire of like hard questions that we, you know, are you know, qualification determinants. Yes. And then the second thing would be a homework assignment. So we pick a client of ours at random and we say, okay, we want to see 3 stories and a block of 12. If this was your client, what would that page look like? Just to see if they have, creativity, aesthetic, and then we ask them to do the captions for each of those. So to make sure that they actually, can write out, a voice and a brand and tone. And sometimes we get back amazing things that you're like, damn, this is our guy, this is our girl, oh my God. And the next time you're like, take social media off your resume. Just take it. Yeah. Just do something else, because
people think that because they have an Instagram account, they like know social media.
Yeah, so it's been a much tighter vetting process than years past, where we were just like, oh, that girl like has a sick page, and
right,
she takes amazing pictures and she's super cute and she looks like she gets it. But now there's like, you got to put your money where your mouth is. You got to show us that you want this job too. So a lot of people will get past, will write them, thanks for applying, and they'll write back like, I'm not doing the homework. Like they just don't want to take the time to do it. And that makes my life easier too, because I'm like, that's not my person. And then, there's other people that don't respond at all, and they're just too lazy to do it. So it also weeds out the lazy.
Yeah, I love that.
That's so smart, because what we've been doing is we interview and then we give them the homework.
Well, first of all, we have Kennedy, our assistant. She does like the first interview, and then she tasks them with creating a mood board for one of like their favorite brands. And really similarly, sometimes we get like really fire creative ones, and then sometimes we're like,
literally, what is this?
But you couldn't even like patch the corners together.
But I think it's interesting that you have it the other way around, because it's true. If you, even before giving someone your time of day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, it's like you're seeing if they're good at what they do or not.
Yeah, for sure. And don't get me wrong, I've flipped it in moments where resumes have just really, stuck out to me, and I'm dying to talk to that person. Or if I know that graphic designer's portfolio is so perfect for something that we need, I'll make exceptions, and that's okay too. But I think when you're really like mass searching, it's hard to say, okay, I'm going to do 30 interviews, but maybe 17 of those, if I gave homework and they submitted, would have been terrible anyway. So.
Yeah, gotcha.
I want to pick your brains a little bit about what it's like to manage a team. And I'm curious to know, before we even get into this, how many employees you have?
So we are, I think it's like 7 full-time right now. And then we have a couple that are like freelancers and part-time, or, partners that we bring in on certain things.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about how you kind of manage them, what your role is like as a leader. And I'm also curious to know how involved you are, on like what level of involvement you're
overseeing stuff
of is it kind of passive, you're approving stuff, or are you in every client's folder, like doing things yourself? Curious to know what that looks like on your scale of where you're at now.
Sure. So I think whenever we onboard a new client, they have just been pitched by me, and they've been
so you're the closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we bring in a new client, I feel very obligated, because I just sold them on what we offer, and
on the dream.
Yes.
I sold them the dream, and now I'm not just gonna be like, oh, and this is Jennifer, and
I'm gonna hand you off.
Yeah. So I like to make a nice transition where it doesn't look like because we're not like such a huge 100-person company that they would maybe be more accustomed. I think when a lot of people want to work with us, it's because they like us. They meet us.
It's boutique.
And they like us. Yeah, they meet us and they like us. So it's important for that follow through to be there, for sure. So I think in the beginning, especially the first month or two, I'm involved to a certain extent, but I do, on the flip side, empower the people that are going to be working on that account to be client facing with me. So I can slowly kind of transition only to jump in where they really need me.
Okay.
And that was a problem for me for years, where I always felt like I had to do everything. But I realized I never was going to grow unless I trusted the people that I put in place. And you have to do that. It's there's moments where, things happen and it's inevitable, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that person just wrote that email, which, by the way, is a big pillar of mine, is email etiquette. When someone gets hired, I give them an entire email etiquette, guidebook, how to properly correspond these days. Just
That
because,
is, wow. That's great.
yeah. So the thing is, I can't expect everybody to know everything the way I would want everything.
Right.
And it takes time to get to that point. It takes patience, and realistic expectations on a team. But I think, I go where I need to go. But my focus, if it was up to me, would solely be, business development, and growth, and really just finding ways to propel the business forward, and trusting in the people that I've, put in these different, different roles, whether it be an events manager, an influencer manager, social media, graphic design, that I have to trust that when I hired them, like I'd feel comfortable with them emailing the client, taking a call with the client, doing all these things without me.
Right. Because so you can do what you do best, which is scale the company and grow and evolve.
Yeah.
And no one else can do that except you,
Yeah, I mean, I've tried. I've never found the right like sales type of person that could do what I do, and
And
I'm
how you do
I'm
it.
still looking. If anybody out there is
If
looking.
anyone's looking for a job.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, leadership is a very important thing that should be on top of every entrepreneur's mind. And, even if it's, you've already done 10 things, like, are you still saying please? Are you still saying thank you? And are you still, appreciative of people's time and making
Yeah.
sure they feel appreciated? Doing nice things that aren't asked of you,
Just
that
because.
just because.
Yeah, I love that.
What does training look like for you? Because we're in the process of like building out like our standard operating procedures and like all these things. Like I love that you mentioned that you do like an email etiquette thing, which 100%
That's great.
we're gonna work on that. Because
Like, that would save
that's
us
a
up.
huge thing for us as well, is like how we communicate via email. And unfortunately, it doesn't come naturally to everyone to be great on email. Exactly. And so I'm just curious about what your training process looks like when you're hiring someone on, so that they can kind of get into the flow of things quickly.
And especially in a business where emails are so important in what we do. I mean, that's mostly all of our correspondence, other than, hopping on a call with clients. But emails are huge. It's really the core of our service-based companies.
I think it starts with communication. And I think it starts with, everybody's a big fan of a group chat, but, are you using like an organization tool like Asana or Trello, or, things that you can really give everybody? I also have, a training kind of like sheet that has everything on there, from, passwords to emails, like everything. So I try to have everything kind of buttoned up. And what we're doing, services wise, I've really narrowed down to, branding, influencer programs, events, and social media. So it's, I'm trying to stay within that realm, and how all those things also complement each other. So when it comes to training, there is like a set guide for each of those departments. So it's not that challenging. It's time consuming, of course, especially when you have to hire and then it's not the right person, you have to retrain. It's just part of business,
Yeah.
and you can't get around it, and there's no way to really prevent it. And that's what it is.
Yeah, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, and I feel like that's pretty validating for us, because that's kind of where we're at.
We're like, is it always this hard?
Yeah.
It is.
And she's like, yes, it is.
I am curious though, like, so for selfish reasons, do you use a CRM to like manage all of your clients, or are you using something like Asana or Trello?
We use Trello.
Okay, so
We
you are
use
using
Trello
Trello
too, Trello gang.
Yeah, we use that as well. But I was curious because we recently heard about softwares like HoneyBook and stuff like that.
Tried
And
it.
so we
I tried
might.
it. Yeah, no, Trello's like just the easiest thing for us. And because
Okay.
we're such a visual type of agency, the fact that you can layer in like the photos and links and like things
Right.
like
Yeah.
that makes it easier for us.
Okay.
We do a ton on, Google Sheets, shared type of documents. Canva has a tremendous, tool with like presentations, to collaborate when you're doing decks, where like years ago I'd be doing a PowerPoint or a keynote, and I'd be saving, and it'd be like 200 megabytes. And I'm like, how am I going to send this to this person to edit it?
Yeah.
And now you just go on Canva and you share, and you're collaborating in real time with somebody on
Canva's the
a
best.
presentation. Yeah, Canva is the best.
Yeah, we love it. Can't believe it's free.
Game
Yeah.
changer. Canva.
Definitely, for sure. Pro tip, Canva. This is not sponsored. Wish it was.
Wish it was.
What would your best advice be for someone who is developing into a leadership role? Because I feel like
We need help.
Not just us, but anyone who is a small business who's looking to, grow a small team and just be a leader in general. I always like asking this question because I feel like everyone always has such different advice. And I feel like you are a good leader. So I want to know what your take on it is and how you feel like someone can be a strong leader.
I think there's a lot of different ways to lead, and there's not like a right way or a wrong way. It has to be your way.
Right.
You can know when somebody is not your style of leader, right? You can be like, hey, this isn't a good fit for me. Like, and I've been there myself with even clients where I'm like, you're just a bad leader. Like I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to subject my team to this.
Yeah.
So I think you have to really say to yourself, like, how would you want to be treated? And how do you embody that type of leadership and positivity amongst everybody around you? And not just do what you think other people expect you to be as a leader.
Right.
Like, there's so many different ways to lead. And, I have friends that are not involved at all in their day-to-day businesses. And they just, they say, hey, do your thing. And their employees work great in that environment. And other people might be like, no, I need guidance. I need empowerment. I need day-to-day encouragement. And I need somebody to sit next to me and show me. And you have to decide, how does your staff you're choosing meet your leadership style? And how does that come together?
It's almost like love languages, like they have to align. And I think it's also good to maybe even like upfront in the hiring process, or maybe like after hiring, ask that. Like you said, communication is huge, and just straight up be like, what is your like work language, love language / work love language?
Yeah. So I think there's no right or wrong way to lead your team. It's how you want to lead your team and how you want people to talk about you. And when they leave the office and be like, wow, like, Olivia and Jessica were so great. They did X, Y, and Z for us this week. And, you just have to think about like what happens, because people are dedicating 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to you to grow your brand and your business. So how do you want them going home at night feeling? And how do you, address concerns? How do you make sure that, it's known that their personal life is as important as the work life? And how do you find a balance between that? Because at the end of the day, like there is that boundary between I'm the boss, I'm the one who cuts the checks and you're the one who works here. But if it's a real team and people really care about each other, then you have to just recognize everybody has moments and everybody has shit going on. And how do you balance your expectations of work when people have shit going on?
Yeah, that's huge. And like understanding that everyone's human. Like you said, everyone has their bad days and their good days.
I used to get really sensitive if I lost an employee that had been with me a long time. And then, it just at some point just hits you and you're like, you almost have to expect everybody's going to leave at some point.
Right. Of course.
And you have to be ready for it. And it sucks because
I don't know how I feel about that.
You can't expect everybody to stay somewhere forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, retire with me.
I'm like, Kennedy, if you're fucking listening to this.
So yeah, I mean, you hope that, your leadership and way of leading is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Oh, I love it.
I feel like I could do some I feel like we should do some leadership stuff.
Training?
Yeah,
like
not
courses?
like training, but we should probably listen to some shit or read a book on leadership, because I feel like
leadership for dummies.
Yeah, right. Because I feel like
I have a video on leadership if you want it.
Yeah,
send
of course you do. Trying to become better leaders. But it's interesting because we are stepping into this role.
Yeah.
And although I do feel like it comes naturally to us, there, you have
to navigate it.
You have to navigate it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just a new
position for us
to grow into.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it takes, a certain amount of educating yourself on
preparation.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Because I think it's a lot of personal development too, it's like
it is for sure.
Understanding how to not let your ego get involved, or understanding, because I feel like it can be a power struggle.
Yeah,
sometimes,
like when to give grace and when to put your foot down, and because it is hard because people are human, and I mean, I'm definitely a super emotional person, and, you want to be respectful of, when people are having a bad day, but also, don't be a fucking bitch because you're having a bad day.
Yeah. I had a mentor when I first started in college that I met who was really tough. Like, looking back, I'm like, damn, he was not.
He's fucking crazy.
he was intense, and I thank him for it.
Yeah.
I don't look back and I'm not traumatized. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. Yeah, and I'll tell you guys a fun story about him, but I'm really grateful because, at one point he said to me, "You're in an industry where there's a lot of men, and men take advantage of the fact that they're men, and they're tough, and they, get the last word, and they're the ones negotiating or whatever. And I never want anyone to take advantage of you in this industry because you have it, you've got it." And he was so keen on making me so fucking tough. And I think that's where my aggressive side comes from, is because he really instilled this entire toughness into me that I had to be tough. I had to be tough.
I love it.
Yeah. And the funny story was that, so I was working in New York City and he was spending a lot of time in the Hamptons where he had a house. And he one afternoon said to me, "Okay, there's cases of tequila coming to the office and I need you to get it out here to the Hamptons." And I'm like 21, alone. How the fuck am I going to get cases of tequila? I don't have a car. What am I going to carry these things on a fucking jitney? How am I going to get them, to the Hamptons?
Yeah, that's rough.
His whole thing was figure it out.
Yeah.
We can relate.
I'd get random emails and I didn't know if it was an invoice I had to pay, pick something up. I had no idea. It was always figure it out. No instructions.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was figured out. So I called a promoter that I knew that worked in nightclubs in the Hamptons. And I said, "Hey, can you take this tequila out there for me?" He was like, "No problem." He was somebody we all knew. I was like, "Perfect." It was a Friday. I was like, "I'm leaving the key under the mat for you." He's like, "No problem. I got it." I leave the key. My friends are visiting me from Miami. We go to Sushi Samba, and I'm thinking I'm good. I'm chilling.
Set.
It's handled.
And I'm sitting at Sushi Samba, and my BlackBerry, the old school one that had the thing, rings with his name on it. And I'm
with the promoter or the boss?
The boss.
Okay.
I'm instantly nauseous.
Oh,
instantly. I'm starting to just see stars just by seeing his name on the phone. And I pick up and I'm like, "Hey," no hello, no nothing. It's, "Where's my tequila?"
Oh my God, dude, your life is a movie. I feel like these are all scenes.
I'm like, he literally goes, "Where's my tequila?"
Oh my God.
And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" Marino took it. What do you mean? And he's like, "Find it." Click.
Literally a mafia boss.
Oh my God.
Literally, I'm like, "Oh my God." I look at my friends. I'm like, "Oh my God, I gotta find the tequila." And I start calling Marino. There's no service in the Hamptons. And I look at my friends. I'm like, "We have to go to the office. I have to see if he picked it up." I don't even know if he picked it up. I have to go. We leave Sushi Samba. We go to the office. No tequila. So I'm like, this is good news. That means he got the tequila. Finally, Marino calls me. By then, I'm pacing Madison Avenue like a lunatic, and I'm like, "Where's that tequila? Where is it? Where is it?" And he's like, "Olivia, I dropped it off at 4:00. What are you even stressing about? It's been there." I call him back, my boss back, and I'm like, "It's there. It's there. It's there. It's there." And he, you know what he says? "Why didn't you know that?"
Oh my God. I hate
I have
him.
never not followed up a day after that in my life.
Wow.
My middle name is Olivia Ormos because that was such a life lesson from the most simple of things that has really stayed with me, to always follow up.
Is this guy fucking Jet
It
Li?
all
What are these life lessons?
It came from a good place, though. It really
Yeah.
did. I'm super happy that was the type of training I got. And it's funny,
I'm taking notes.
Yeah,
I
where the
literally
fuck is
the printer guy, his name was Vinny. We became such good friends because I was always at the printer. He called me for 10 years on my birthday every year. After that, there were moments where I was struggling. I was walking the streets of New York, and I'd call my mom, and I'm like, "I don't know where Staples is." I was, I didn't know how to get there. I was so confused by the avenues and the streets. And my mom was like, "Well, what's in here?" And I was like, "The Empire State Building." She goes, "Stop, look up."
Oh my God.
Do you see it? So
dude,
there.
It's called tough love, but what a great way to learn.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you will never not follow up ever again.
Yeah, but that's it. And it's also just a really interesting leadership style because we are very figure it out heavy. And sometimes I'm like, is that just kind of
Is it savage?
Is it savage? Is it kind of mean? But I mean, like, at the end of the day, I mean, like, the intention is fostering independence.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I want you to figure these things out because
Well,
really,
yeah.
I mean, all it really takes in most cases is like a step or two to figure out, you know, what you're looking at or what you're doing.
What he did to me to other people.
Yeah.
Because I think that today's, I don't know, like it's just different.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
It's a different time, and I don't know that like young people just in graduating could handle it. Like,
Right.
I'm telling you, looking back, I'm like, damn, I'm so grateful that I had this like tough motherfucker like rooting me on, doing things to test me, because I think that's why I was able to start my business so young.
Right.
Like I was able to do things a lot faster because I was put in the position,
Yeah, I love that.
figuring out.
And it's great because it's like that. I mean, that really is how. That's the only way people really learn is is by doing. Like you can go to college and you can get all the degrees in the world, but you're never going to learn everything it takes to run a business until you actually do it. And a lot of what business and entrepreneurship is figuring it the fuck out.
It really is.
That is literally what it is. There is no playbook. There's no one to hold your hand. It's all figure it out. If you run into an issue, figure out how to problem solve and move along.
That's right.
That's great. I love it.
I love that.
So good. I think we should hop into our last round of questions that we love to ask every guest. And I think I'm going to add a third question in, which is, what is your favorite either podcast you listen to or a business book or personal development book that you might swear by? Either or. It could be both, whatever you want. Just curious to know like what you lean into.
I don't lean into any of that stuff. If I listen
She
to
said, "Fuck it."
anything, it's only Dave Matthews. So if I have time to listen, whether I'm in the car or I'm on a walk or I'm chilling, it's music.
Okay.
I feel that.
Not one of those people that enjoy like listening like all the time. And don't get me wrong, like somebody will send me a podcast and I'll tune in and I'll love it. But like on a day to day, it's just not like.
I mean, our brains are, you know, we're making
Information-
so many decisions that, you know, you don't want to have to listen to other people sometimes. So I feel that.
I feel that 100%. It's
I don't know
information
if I've answered
overload.
the honest answer you wanted, but
No, I love that even more because it's your truth. And it's so many times I also don't want to listen to a podcast because I'm dealing with information overload. And it's like, you just need music. You just need it. It's healthy to shut our brain off sometimes.
Yeah,
too.
and I feel guilty sometimes, but
Yeah.
you know, like I'm like, I don't want to listen to
No.
you know,
And you
someone
don't-
talking
yeah,
about
like
it.
when Clubhouse launched, I thought that was amazing, and I was tuning into a ton of like talks that you could just kind of leave it on in the background and
Right.
do your thing, which was nice. But primarily, I'm more like music over conversation.
Love it.
Love it. All right, our next question is, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
The worst anyone can say to you is no.
Wait,
That is so ironic.
that is so. Wait, we
All right.
have to tell you this.
We
fucking
know you love the
story.
stories. So here we go, Olivia. This could not be a more suitable story for you right now.
This is incredible, actually.
This is serendipity.
You gonna do it?
Okay, so our first year at Model Volleyball, the year that we weren't with an agency, we saw, I think it was like maybe the head of, who was
IMG.
it? IMG.
And it was the year that Gigi was there.
Yes.
Okay.
And Jess and I were like, we can shoot our shot. Here we go. We weren't with agencies. Oh yeah. So for like 30 minutes, we're like, let's just go up to him. Let's just say like, hey, just wanted to introduce ourselves for 30 minutes. We're like hyping each other up,
And we
right?
had confirmed that this table was
them.
them, the IMG people,
And we're
right?
like, for
Got
sure.
it.
We're telling each other, let's just do it. And then we're like, no. And then we're like, yeah. So we finally
And
get
we
the
look
balls.
at each other and we're like, what's the worst they can say?
We say, what's the worst they can say?
And we're like, nothing to lose.
No. That's what we said. We
nothing to
said, we
lose.
have nothing to lose. Let's just go shoot our shot. So we go over there. We shoot our shot. We say, hey, are you with IMG? The dude looks at us and goes,
The table looks down at us from the table.
and he goes, no. And turns around, and we
walk away.
We walk away, do a walk of shame, and we're like, "Hey, remember when we said
we had nothing
to lose?
We're like, we just lost our dignity.
We just lost our pride and all of our dignity." So it's just so funny that you say
had
that.
to shoot your shot. You had to
No,
try,
and
or else it would have been like, what if we never went over?
Yeah, and it's one of our favorite stories.
It really is.
honestly.
We've shared it on the podcast before, and it's just so funny that is your.
Because it's obviously like it happened at your event, so it's just funny
Yeah.
that you
No,
say that.
I'm all about taking risk, shooting your shot, But there's also like kind of like a moment where like maybe sometimes you just won't be prepared and you just have to like go for it. You know, you're not
Yeah.
prepared. Like you can't prepare for everything. You can try, but
The
like,
worst they can say is no.
I mean, I
Yeah.
tell myself that all the time. I'm like, look, the worst thing they're going to tell me is no, thank you. And I'm going to say, okay.
Yeah, and you can't take anything personally either.
And I think
you
the
know?
one thing
So
that like
funny.
a lot of people don't do when they get told no is ask why and what they
Oh, I
could,
like
and
that.
what they could do to be better. You know, sometimes I'll pitch Model Volleyball to sponsors and they're like, oh, like, you know, unfortunately, you know, this isn't the right fit for us, right? So I'll write back, what is the right fit for you? Like what, you know, if you don't like volleyball, you know, so I remember one time a brand wrote back, well, we're really focused on golf. Volleyball is just not a pillar of like our business. So then I made a note of that in my sponsorship chart and said, okay, next time I have an event that has to do with golf, I'll write this brand
Yeah.
and
that.
not write him 20 more times in between when now I know he's only interested in golf.
Yeah.
So why am I going to do another event about a fashion show and another
like
event,
model
you know?
golf.
Makes sense.
So, and, you know, so that really helps. Like sometimes people are too like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to ask that question. Look, worst thing that's going to happen, they're just not going to respond to you the next time. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
If they do, and you get that valuable information, you can use that to your advantage while you're choosing to communicate with brands.
Right. And to be better and be open to constructive criticism, even, you know, if it wasn't, oh, we're into golf, it was, oh, you know, I didn't really resonate with how you presented this or whatever it is. It's just great. You're pretty much just studying, you know.
Because at the end of the day, they already said no, right? So
Yeah.
like all you can do is grow and learn from the person if you ask.
And be better from it. Yeah. Okay. And our last question is, what is your best biz pro tip? And this could be something huge. It could be something small. Could be a mindset. Could be an app you use. Literally whatever.
Okay. I would say, you know, following up, like that whole story,
Yes.
huge one, and making sure you're really following up. And then
Olivia follow up Ormos.
Yeah, Olivia Follow Ormos. And then the second one would be a website called smallpdf.com.
Ooh, yes. What is it? I love it already.
It's unbelievable. It'll change your life.
Wow.
It compresses large documents. It'll change your, you know, your files to different things for you automatically. It's a game changer. Trust me. Go on the minute we're off. You're gonna.
Oh my God.
Okay,
See,
bet.
these are the biz pro tips that I'm
That we
like,
needed.
Yes. What have we been sleeping on?
People are always like, chase your dreams. And I'm like, tell me the fucking apps you use.
Tell me the websites, the apps you swear by, everything. Olivia,
Yeah.
this has been amazing.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you
I
so
really
much.
Appreciate it.
2 Olivias in the same room, 2 Olivias in Miami. The only
Magic.
other Olivia I know in Miami, and just what an honor to share a name with you.
Same, girl.
Awesome. If people want to find you and follow your journey, where can they find you and your businesses at?
Sure. So the business is OO and Co. So that's OOANDCO. And then my personal is my first and last name, Olivia Ormos. And that's
Perfect.
on Instagram. And that's really all I use.
Yay.
Wonderful. If you guys like this episode, please take a screenshot, share it, tag us, tag Olivia. We want to know that you're listening and if you enjoyed it. And
send it to a friend and
Yeah.
anything else you can do to show us some love and let us know you're out there.
all right, brothers, we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Happy season 8.